Thank you, Chairman Breen. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the representative of the class of 2020 to present remarks on behalf of his fellow graduates. Before we were forced to close the campus last year, our speaker was a leading contender in a selection procedure developed by the class officers and college administration. All seniors were eligible to apply, and there were a number of strong entries filled with wisdom. And we truly appreciate all those who took the time to apply. It says a lot about our community. The person chosen to serve as the class of 2020 commencement speaker is Falco Muscante, who earned his bachelor's degree in management with a minor in pre-law and concentration in human resources. Falco is continuing his studies at the Duquesne University School of Law in Pittsburgh, where he is the vice president of the Christian Legal Society, a member of the Appellate Moot Court Board, a staff writer for Juris Magazine, and a member of the Federalist Society. Falco currently works as a law clerk for a sole practitioner in Pittsburgh, and starting Monday, he will be working as an associate fellow at the Fairness Center in Harrisburg and participating in the Alliance Defending Freedom's prestigious Blackstone Legal Fellowship. And during his time at the college, Falco poured himself into his studies, activities, and especially his community, and always working faithfully and aiming for excellence in everything. In his academic work, Falco was named to the Dean's List with high distinction every semester and was a member of the Business Leadership Honor Society. As a junior, he was tapped for the college's chapter of the National Leadership Honorary Omicron Delta Kappa, serving as its president during his senior year. An accomplished musician and scholar, Falco held multiple leadership roles across campus, including serving as the editor-in-chief of the Journal on Law and Public Policy, perhaps the only entirely student-run undergraduate journal of its kind in the country. He served as one of my student assistants last spring for my course, Understanding the U.S. Constitution, and participated in the GCC Law Society and the Student Advisory Leadership Team. As a student ambassador in the admissions office, he regularly gave campus tours to prospective students and their families and served as a mentor to new tour guides. He also served as a resident assistant for first-year students and bore responsibility for guiding and mentoring these young men, as well as for building community in the residence hall and upholding college policies with integrity and grace. Falco was involved in various ministries, including as a freshman Bible study leader and servant team leader with Crew, and served on the worship team with the children's ministry at the Grove City Area Church. Last spring, Falco was selected for the highest honor awarded to graduating seniors, Man of the Year. Throughout his time at the college, Falco worked diligently to bring glory to God through his studies and activities. He continues to do so in law school and through his message to us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Grove City College's commencement speaker for the class of 2020, Mr. Falco Anthony Muscante II.
Thank you, President McNulty, for the kind remarks. Memorial Hall, second floor, 2MP, room 222. I think it was toward the beginning of our first semester, and one of us, perhaps someone sitting here today, decided to throw some packets of barbecue sauce at my window on the second floor. The barbecue sauce exploded on our window, and neither myself nor my roommate at the time wanted to clean it up. We let it sit there for a month or so until I'd had enough of it. I went to the bathroom, grabbed a paper towel, and found a way to creatively clean the barbecue sauce from the second-story window in our room. And then I did the unthinkable. I took that paper towel, that personal trash, and I walked back to the bathroom. I opened the door, and I deposited that trash into the receptacle directly below the sign that read, "No personal trash in this garbage can." Well, God has a sense of humor. On my way back out of the bathroom door slammed shut, breaking not my first, not my second, but my third toe in 2 places. And for my fellow business department friends out there, this was the night before a Dr. Powell's marketing exam. So to the man or woman out there that decided to throw barbecue sauce at my window, thank you very much. No, seriously, thank you. I didn't know it at the time, but that experience would lead to a wonderful friendship and relationship with Jim Dixon, one of the campus safety officers, who went above and beyond his job description to care for me in my silly little time of need, and point me toward what the Grove City College experience would be like for the next 4 years of my life and our lives. When President McNulty called me a couple weeks ago to ask whether I would speak at commencement, he mentioned that nearly 300 of us had already responded saying that we would be here today. And look around. No one's looking around. Look around. Wow, we're all here. I remember when I first got the email about having an in-person commencement, and like many of you, I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to attend. After all, it had been over a year since the pandemic shortened our Grove City College experience by nearly a full semester, and right now many of us have been blessed with the opportunity to find full-time employment. Many of us have traveled a great distance to be here. And some of us began graduate school, got married, moved to a new town, bought a home, switched careers or jobs entirely. And many of us experienced great hardship magnified by the pervasiveness of the pandemic in our country and in our world. But in spite of all those things, you're here today. Why? Why return? Is it because you wanted the cap and the gown and the tassel to walk across the stage here today? Did you miss the food at Hicks? Maybe to experience our beautiful campus one more time. Or perhaps you wanted a chance to shake President McNulty's hand. I don't know if that'll happen with COVID today, but perhaps that's what you were hoping for. Maybe your friends or your parents forced you to come to take those graduation pictures that we all missed out on. Maybe. That day that I broke my toe, I experienced genuine community on our campus for the first time. Jim initially took me to the hospital, and my RA helped me out in so many ways. My RD at the time drove me to follow-up appointments, and my new friends would constantly check up on me. They'd offer to pray with me, help me crutch my way to class, which is a bit of a hassle coming from Memorial. I know others of you that have had injuries. It's a bit of a hassle. But to crutch your way to class, and breaking my toe is a silly example, again, but it reminds me of the wonderful people on our campus, like Jim, who constantly go above and beyond to serve others. Another one of those people is Steve Campbell at the mailroom, who's been serving our college for 30 years. And through other men, like Art Robinson and Gary Kozad, the groundskeeper dynamic duo. I know Gary just retired. Thank you, yeah. Art Robinson and Gary Kozad, the groundskeeper dynamic duo, they've served here for over 30 years together too, pulling weeds, emptying the trash, and keeping the quad looking beautiful for events such as this, doing many of the things behind the scenes that we don't recognize. And through those things, I learned what it meant to pursue excellence. I remember Art one day pulling weeds in front of the career services office, making the office look beautiful. And as I often told families when I led tours, usually right about there at that corner, from the classes to the grasses, we pursue excellence in all that we do here at Grove City College. The families usually didn't laugh at that, so thank you so much for your laughter. How about Bridget Rossi, the white-haired, kind-hearted, sweet-spirited woman who constantly kept the dessert table at Hicks, stocked with cookies and cakes? At Halloween, much of the candy that was scattered around Hicks cafeteria, she paid for with her own money. You may not have ever had the time to stop by and say hi to her, but she very well may have prayed for you. Bridget exemplifies faithfulness, not only in her commitment to her workplace, but also in her willingness to be obedient to the Holy Spirit. When she felt led, she witnessed to her coworkers. She prayed for certain students that God would lay on her heart, and she would share spiritual insight with anyone who would take the time to listen and to ask. She donated ice cream, cookies, and candy to the freshmen living on my hall last year. And a week or so after I took her a thank you card with all of our signatures and all of our names on it, she told me that she had been praying for every single student on that card by name. That's faithfulness. When I think of stewardship, I think of Sonia and Tina, Diane and Ron, Kent and Sharon, who makes the best Toll House pies ever, and many of the other housekeepers who steward the halls and the offices of this campus so well. Did everybody raise a hand? Okay, this is interactive here. Everybody, would you raise a hand? Place it on the seat that you're sitting on. Someone set those seats up today, and it wasn't you or I. Those same people will empty the trash cans when we deposit our programs into them on the way out. And as a freshman RA last year, and to some of you who are RAs for much longer than I know very well, we've had overflowing toilets, mysterious foods and beverages left over break, dried protein spills in the hallway, bodily fluids in the elevator, anything you could think of. And guess how quickly these men and women responded to take care of things? Almost instantly, at every hour of the day, and more often than not with a smile on their face. If you're familiar with the 5 values of Grove City College, you'll know that the final value I haven't mentioned yet is independence. And many of us have experienced the freedom from the grind of studying and finals and all of the other stressors that go with pursuing a 4-year college degree. But our calling is much greater than that. And my charge to each of us as ambassadors for Christ and as graduates of this institution is this: to be an image bearer of Christ, as Paul says, in humility, count others as more significant than ourselves. And to seek to cultivate that same caliber of community that we all experienced in Grove City College in our own families and workplaces and social circles. To be excellent in doing all that we do to the glory of God. We don't need to be sitting in a 3-credit class for the next 60 years of our lives to be lifelong learners. Simply look up. Sometimes we learn the most in life, not from a professor or a managing partner or a chief executive officer, but from those with whom we interact or perhaps walk past daily. We can appreciate those around us and glean the wisdom of those who may be a bit further along in this journey that we call life. And next, to exhibit faithfulness in serving the God who has never and will never fail us, as many of us experienced again during this time of pandemic. Fourth, to exercise good stewardship financially and with our time. And finally, independence, not simply as a freedom from this past season of our lives, of papers and projects and assignments and exams and presentations, but as a freedom to live a life worthy of the calling you have received, just as the Apostle Paul exhorted the Ephesians. Once, in a discussion with one of our trustee members, Mr. Bill Mahaffey, who's watching via live stream, hello, Mr. Mahaffey, he shared that his car has this odd way of somehow veering off of exit 113 as he's driving north on Route 79. And I think, like Mr. Mahaffey alluded, we're not here for the regalia. We're not here for the food. We're not here for the beauty of our campus, or even to shake President McNulty's hand. We're here for that same reason that Mr. Mahaffey is drawn back to this campus decades after he left the bubble for the first time. We veered back here because we love the friendships and the iron sharpening iron relationships, the moments of shared laughter in the times of shared grief, the pick up where you left off types of conversations that are all indicative of the thick community that we've all come to experience here in the last 4 years. 2 C's for those of you laughing back there. 3.5 years, I should say also. 3.5. Before I close today, we're going to do something different. And in a moment, I'm going to ask us, all of us, to take a moment to close our eyes and to reflect on those who have positively impacted our lives in any way large or small, and perhaps to offer a silent prayer of thanksgiving on their behalf. I'm going to keep the time for 60 seconds. Let's begin. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside also every weight and sin which clings so closely. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and finisher, the author and perfecter of our faith, for who the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Grove City College, class of 2020, thank you for your time, and God bless you.
Falco, thank you so much for what you were able to capture in those words about our culture and our community. We will remember that admonition for a long time, and we are greatly blessed by the women and men who serve this campus every day, behind the scenes, tirelessly, especially this past year. So thank you for that wonderful reminder and again, encouragement.